All right, so we are back, and today I am sensing a very interesting time in influencer boxing. KSI's newest opponent may have just been leaked by his own manager. Either that, or you're starting to see a very interesting game between the promotion and its fighters. If you want to call it leverage, if you want to call it incentive, if you want to call it roadblocks. There's a lot of things that it could be, and I'll explain what I mean. KSI's new opponent potentially leaked, or a little bit of, once again, public negotiation from the promotion and its fighters. What do I mean? The breakdown. Let's go. We just had Misfits 14 a couple days ago, I guess a week ago now. We're coming up on Misfits 15. They're running back-to-back like Drizzy Drake in 2016. I think that was when he body bagged Meek Mill. Anyway, out of that card, obviously, you know, Salt Poppy, big win, main event, that whole thing. But the real story that's come out of this week hasn't been between Misfits 14 and 15, even though, you know, I'm excited. We'll be live for that card, by the way, this Saturday. But it's been about this public negotiation thing that's gone on between Mams Taylor and Slim and the frustrations that lie in between. And also, I think in the midst of it, we might have just had KSI's next opponent. Let's take a look at the whole thing. So on May 16th, Misfits Small Council posted a video on their YouTube channel. Now, in that video, apparently, it was said, I guess by Mams Taylor, that Slim was offered 7 opponents, or 7 or 8 opponents that he turned down. He turned all these opponents down. Now that part of the video, maybe I'm missing where that is. I don't know. I can't find it. There's a part of this video that's actually cut out of the video, but it was public for enough time for people to see. I'm gonna play you the video, and we'll bounce around a couple different spots here, but this is what was said and where the cut happens. It's very odd.
And look, there's injuries and stuff. Jarvis is injured. We know Dean was injured. Slim hasn't been injured. He's been offered main events.
You know, though, when your champion refuses every single fight, what do you do? Just let him keep the belt and just carry on as if nothing? Like, what the hell happens now?
Did you guys see that cut? Am I tripping? What happened, it seems like, from that cut and what's been posted online that same morning from IFN is that Slim got offered, and Mams Taylor apparently named names on who Slim got offered, which is now public, I guess. OJ Rose, Ashley Raxu, Gabriel Silva, Anthony Taylor, Salt Poppy rematch, Anthony Pettis, Luis Alcaraz Pineda, and Ben Williams. Pause there for a second, because Misfits has gotten in trouble doing this before. And listen, I'm no stranger to saying something publicly that I probably shouldn't have said when it came to negotiations that were behind the scenes. And I've since apologized for that. It was completely wrong for me to do. But Misfits and Mams specifically have done this before, and it seems like it is a little bit of a tactic for them to show the public that they're trying to make fights happen for their fighters so that they don't necessarily have to burden fan backlash for when fighters aren't fighting. I've said that's probably not a good idea in the past, but I've also seen this happen a ton in the fight game to push fighters to take fights. It definitely happens a lot in the UFC with Dana White, who will legitimately announce fights that haven't been signed, which is a terrible idea. So I assume that's why that was cut out of the Misfits 14 Small Council meeting thing, but let's go back to it and see what exactly the problem is there and why I do think there is an issue with turning down fights as a champion on Misfits, but why I think the issue is arising specifically in this case.
We haven't been able to justify a mandatory. That's been the problem, but that's why I'm offering Slim another big fight, hopefully very soon. And if he wins that fight, he will have to, whoever wins that fight will have to defend against the winner of Salt Pappy and King Kennedy.
That's how Slim started, though, man. Slim was banging fights out. That's why we loved him. The whole point of me loving Slim was like, this guy is always active. He's fighting anyone, last minute, comes in, knocks them out. It was cool as. So to go from that to nothing in 7 or 8 months, it's like, as a fan, I'm like, whoa, I was invested in this. What we doing now?
This is what Slim has done for the last 5 years. Ever since there was influencer boxing, constantly making posts, constantly calling people out, you know, and building hype and excitement around his name. I don't see that at all. I see him punching a bag on his Twitter.
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot said there. Number one, yes, Slim did fight a lot in his introduction to Misfits and took fights that he didn't have to take, and probably, in retrospect, didn't make a lot of sense for him to take, right? Temper on 2 weeks was the perfect opportunity for Slim. Tom Zanetti was somebody really no one knew and was a tough matchup for a guy that was 20 or 25 pounds smaller and Slim, but he got it done. Same with Ryan Taylor. Slim was better than both of those guys, clearly, but again, a lot of size difference there. He still won those fights handily, in my opinion. And then the Salt Poppy fight happens, which again, let's not forget how that whole thing came about. Slim was called a coward and that he was ducking and that he was scared of Salt Poppy just to go out and actually beat him in the fight. I thought that was a massive move for Slim. And that wasn't just the public calling Slim that. It was also people like KSI, who is a fighter, but also is a part of Misfits, which makes that whole thing a bit awkward. It seems like the promotion has kind of positioned itself against Slim. It's a little weird, but KSI, a fighter, I guess you kind of get it. He's trying to like potentially set up a fight there. But now we get to a point where Slim's name has gotten bigger through Misfits, but it's a delicate point because this isn't professional boxing. And I do agree with True Jordy there that yes, the thing that got everybody behind Slim is that he was willing to take fights that other people weren't and deliver with knockouts or stoppages or whatever it was. But at a certain point, you do want to be rewarded with that big name quality fight or that main event position like Mams Taylor's talking about there. Now, Mams says there that he's offering Slim a fight with another individual where the winner gets the winner of King Kenny and Salt Poppy in the rematch. But again, this is not what I have heard. This is the first time I've heard that. I heard that Mams Taylor said he offered Slim an opponent that if he beat that opponent, he would then fight KSI guaranteed. So let's see if we can find that clip. Maybe that's, again, part of the deleted stuff they didn't want out there, but it is out there now. Anyway, we have more to talk about with this. Bear with me. I know we're kind of taking the long road to get there, but it will make sense.
Consistency is key.
The point is it ain't about having...
There's another cut. Very interesting here.
You can't be tiptoeing around when you're not even in a place where you have the say-so to tiptoe around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, boss.
Absolutely.
Jordy's stupid. Yes, boss. All right, so, okay, let's do this. Mams is telling a bit of truth there, right? He's saying, listen, he doesn't feel Slim is in a place to be picking and choosing opponents right now. I think there's truth to that, right? You know, Slim's not a overly popular, super mega star, KSI level, Jake Paul level, Logan Paul level. I get that. But in that same breath, you can't say we're trying to put on the most competitive fights as a company that also prioritizes star power, because that's not always going to go hand in hand. Like, some of the most competitive fights for even a KSI would be people that aren't considered superstars in this scene or any other. That would give KSI nasty work for his level. But that's not how you make that fight. It has to be a nice blend of the two, and I think that's where Slim is coming from. I don't think that Slim wants an easy fight. I think he wants a fight with a name that, yes, is competitive, but also is going to elevate his star power more. And again, whether you believe that's going to happen as he just continues beating people on Misfits that are maybe below him in name value, but gain him respect in this small niche that we have, maybe that's the case. But regardless what you think, that is a little bit of the discussion around what has happened. And again, there were some cuts here that I wanted to take a look at because there's something odd about the way this whole thing has come about. Obviously, Mams is frustrated that Slim is not taking opponents, and he has rightful reasons. It's his champion. You're holding a belt. That's the same complaints I had about KSI holding a belt. Why are you holding one if you're not going to fight any Misfits fighters? Again, I think the belts are a little silly and arbitrary, but if you're going to hold it, yeah, you should be taking more fights. You should have people that are going to challenge for the belt, and that's the gimmick, right? So Mams, again, it was cut out of this, but publicly said, hey, we offered Slim 8 fights, and apparently actually 9 fights, and he turned them all down. And this, again, was cut out of that Misfits small council thing, so it almost felt like Mams didn't mean to say this publicly, or probably didn't want to or shouldn't have said it publicly, but it needs to be on the record that he did, because after this happened, Slim responded to a tweet. Mams Taylor has offered Slim multiple main event fights, including a mega fight with a guaranteed KSI fight for the winner, but Slim turned it all down. We'll get to that guaranteed KSI fight for winner. Just give me a second. Slim said, well, maybe because I wanted to fight on the Netflix card, which was the biggest card of the decade, which I can't do, shake my head. So, yeah, this came out publicly, and we're going to have a video tomorrow. Apparently, Anisan Gibb is reported to be fighting on this Most Valuable Promotions card July 20th, which is a stacked card. Good Lord, look at it up and down. Leo put the card up. But Slim can't do that because he's under contract with Misfits. Not really going to get into the weeds with this. Slim signed a contract. He does have to honor it. It is what it is. After that, KSI responds to a claim of him ducking Slim. He says, ha ha ha, ducking Slim, brother. I would obliterate Slim. Like, stop. And we also talked a video, I think last week, of KSI coming back and him being at 200 pounds. So right now that fight doesn't make a ton of sense. At least I didn't think so until I saw this. KSI took a break from boxing just to avoid fighting me next. Nothing more to say. Again, calling out KSI on Twitter. And then KSI News, the most trusted news source in all the land. The same guy who refused to fight, if he won, would have guaranteed him a KSI fight. Fine shame. Then we find out what the guaranteed fight was that Slim was offered should he win is to fight KSI. And ladies and gentlemen, this is f***ing crazy. But apparently, Slim was offered Amir Khan as an eliminator to fight KSI. He says, I was offered Amir Khan, one of the greatest fighters to ever lace up gloves from the UK. They're really trying to do anything to keep you away from KSI. Now, I can't believe I just read that. Slim was offered Amir Khan as a way to get to KSI. This is where I'm going to get to KSI's potential next opponent, because if you are asking Slim to fight Amir Khan, while again, guaranteeing him a fight with KSI, who is apparently actively moving up to 200 pounds for his next fight in anticipation of, I assume, a bigger opponent. Slim fights at 165 pounds, I think, now. The logistics of this aren't making a lot of sense, which make me kind of question this whole arrangement, because how is this a guaranteed fight versus KSI? Amir Khan, by the way, is not big either. He fought at 147 pounds versus Kell Brook. He's only been as high as 155 pounds, but that's still f***ing Amir Khan. A history lesson for you guys. He's a multi-time champion of the world. He's only 37 years old. Sure, he hasn't fought a lot in the last 5 years, but still, he's not 40-something. He's not 50-something. He is still in his 30s. He is still one of the better fighters in the lower weight classes to come out of the UK. And he is levels above influencer boxers. Levels above them. Let's put it in a vacuum. Slim would have to beat, after Floyd Mayweather and Mike is going to fight Jake on July 20th, is essentially the third most experienced boxer that any influencer boxer has ever had to face. More so than KSI's had to face before he could fight KSI. So to ask Slim to fight him for the right to fight KSI is either genius on behalf of Misfits to inject Amir Khan into this scene as a way to potentially hype up an Amir Khan and KSI fight. But it's at the expense of one of your growing influencer boxers. But what I think really is the case here, and this is just my opinion, but I think that Misfits wants very badly to get a hold of Amir Khan. Now, again, my theory has some holes in it because of what JJ just said this last week, that he wants to be up at 200 pounds. And maybe that means he wants to gain a lot of muscle and then try to cut some weight down, but have potentially a size advantage on a naturally smaller guy like Amir Khan. And they would bring him in, give him essentially a tune-up fight versus Slim, sacrifice Slim to him. Essentially, you give KSI one fight of film study to see where Amir Khan is, to see how he fights the way he is, and have Amir Khan then fight KSI, which was kind of the plan all along. And again, I'm not trying to speak out of my ass here. I'm just trying to read into context clues, because after Slim posted that, Mams Taylor tonight got on Twitter and defended his side of things. And he said, to be fair, I offered 7 other fights with fighters from our roster at varying levels. Yeah, which I think, as of those levels, and again, we saw the fighters here, the only one that really made any amount of sense as far as what would be a big fight in a main event level, it was probably Anthony Pettis. And if you wanted to go strictly belt for belt stuff, then okay, Anthony Taylor, but we've been down that road before. What does that do for Slim? Then Mams goes, I then offered Anthony Pettis and Amir Khan as he wanted bigger names. Again, I'm on board with this one right here. That Anthony Pettis one is hasty. Now, again, it would be a tough fight for Slim. Anthony Pettis is a and he is not like a lot of these MMA guys that come over and strike. Taekwondo background, I think maybe even, I don't know if it's Taekwondo, maybe it's Kempo Karate, I'm not sure. And he's young, and I think he just pulled off a win last year versus Roy Jones. That would be a tough matchup. But I would take that over Amir Khan. We'll get there. But you can't say it's from a lack of trying and giving a multitude of fair options. And again, that word fair is relative, because what is fair to Slim is not fair to Misfit. And that's all across the board. But essentially, Mams saying, listen, I offered fights. So this person responds and says, Mams, but offering Khan as an opponent to Slim is honestly out of line. Not even KSI is willing to fight Khan. And Mams said the point was KSI would be guaranteed to fight the winner, so of course he's willing to. Well, if that's the case, why not just have KSI fight Amir Khan right now? You know, why make that Slim versus Amir Khan fight even happen outside of, again, what I've stated? Because that's, in my opinion, clear what the idea was here. Otherwise, if they wanted to make this as a fight potentially for KSI, they could just announce Amir Khan versus KSI. And we would all go, holy shit, KSI's fighting Amir Khan. That is a massive step up, and one that, in my opinion, is a little too far. If it's too far for Slim, in my opinion, it's too far for KSI to go. Outside of, again, the weight gap that KSI may have on him by going up to 200 pounds. Maybe he thinks, I sit down on the right hand. I've seen Amir Khan get caught on the chin before, and that chin maybe not is what it was 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And that's the big opportunity, but that's a fucking huge fight in its own right. Why are we having Slim fight him as a means to just have KSI get more eyes on Amir Khan before he's able to fight him and sacrifice Slim to do that? To me, that seems a little odd. The fact that Mams is going back and deleting some of this stuff, I think even leads further into my theory. They might potentially really be trying to set up KSI versus Amir Khan. And this is one of the worst ways to roll that out and maybe leak it without actually intentionally doing that, but being so caught up and frustrated with Slim that you say something and say a little too much of something that you get caught in the crosshairs here. But I think this is what this is. And by the way, I don't think KSI is ready for it. But what can you say other than, man, respect if you go and take that fight? Like, I would never blame KSI if he said, Amir Khan, are you out of your mind? I'm not there yet. Just like I won't blame Slim for doing that. But if KSI really wants to fight him, then I don't really see the need to wait or make some title eliminator thing just for them to go and fight, unless you're trying to buy time for KSI to gain weight, to have that weight advantage, and to see where Amir Khan is at this moment. I just feel like it doesn't make a lot of sense to use misfits fighters that you're trying to turn into superstars to essentially get him ready to fight KSI. And I know all this video, for people that are going to watch, are going to take away from this is saying, well, here goes Wade criticizing misfits and running defense for Slim. That wasn't the point of this video. If that's what you came in here and got out of this, then you're wrong. The point of this video was to show you who KSI's next opponent could potentially be. In my opinion, it was never going to be Slim. That can be put out there as a way to appetize Slim or appease you guys to say Slim he got a shot to fight KSI. He just had to go and beat one of the greatest lower weight fighters to ever come out of the UK, who's still 37, who's, yes, only fought, what, 3 times in the last 5 years, but still against high-level opponents in Kell Brook. He shared the ring with Canelo and Bud Crawford and has credible wins against high-level guys like Chris Algieri on his record. Like, again, he's not the same guy, but he's also not so far from that guy that it's a competitive fight, in my opinion. That was a bit of the fruit dangling, and maybe Mams felt he needed to do that, but this is a very simple answer. Just have KSI fight Amir Khan right now or in the next fight he has, if that's really what you want to do. Surely, if you can afford guys like Anthony Pettis and Amir Khan, you can afford a guy like Gibb. And they probably don't see Gibb as the same value as those guys, but my point being, really want to make that fight, they can. It just depends on where you make it. Again, you could put that on the co-main event under an Amir Khan and KSI card, and everybody's happy, I think. But you guys let me know, did Mams Taylor just inadvertently leak the fact that the real fight here is Amir Khan versus KSI? Am I looking too far into this? Am I being too critical of misfits again? I don't have those answers, but like I said, I think the fight should be KSI Amir Khan if they're going to go after Amir Khan and bring him into this scene. And you should be trying to make that an Isan Gibb and Slim fight. I know I say it ad nauseum, but it's just the truth. You guys let me know what you think, because when it comes to these matchups and the inner workings of the business, I'm not over there. I don't have those answers, but they put enough out in the public for us to draw conclusions. So, does Slim fight Amir Khan for the right to fight KSI? And is it all pieces to a plan that eventually lead to KSI fighting Amir Khan down the road? I don't have those answers, but guess we'll find out.